Hello, and welcome to another episode of Brettcast Gaming Talk. As you know, I am a fan of Sword Art Online, at least the first two parts of it. Regardless, as much as I've watched the anime and read the manga, that to me feels like it's kind of based on the anime, I've barely scratched the surface on the SAO video games. First SAO video game I played was Hollow Realization, and I have talked about that on this channel. There was also another that I purchased around that time, but never really did much with until a few days ago. I'm going to be talking about Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet. Now, if you can't tell from the name of this SAO game, this one takes place in Gun Gale Online, and thank goodness, because I was not a fan of the kind of stupid setting that Hollow Realization took place in. I also have to say that it's pretty cool getting to walk around in GGO's hub area, the SBC Glocken, and it looks nice. The whole game looks so much better than Hollow Realization does, and that's because Fatal Bullet is in the Unreal Engine 4. The gameplay itself is actually really fun if you use guns. I know, I said the game takes place in GGO. I can already hear you saying that obviously using guns is the clear choice. However, as Kirito does in the Sword Art Online 2 anime, there's the option to use a photon sword, like Kirito does. And so, coming from Hollow Realization, I assumed that the melee combat for the photon sword would be about the same as how the melee combat was in Hollow Realization, but I was very wrong. To be honest, the combat with the photon sword really sucks, and I wouldn't recommend using one unless you want to challenge yourself. The other thing is that I find that there's only a few viable guns for use if you want the game to go smoothly. I find that having a sniper rifle as one of your weapons is a good idea because they can do huge amounts of damage and are more accurate, and you don't have to get close to enemies, which will come in handy in a few quests. As for the other weapon, I would suggest something that will use a basic kind of ammo. Yes, there's different types of ammo. There's basic ammo like your handgun ammo, assault rifle ammo, and sniper rifle ammo. But some guns will have a little more rare ammo type. Like there's a handgun that uses, I think it was heavy handgun ammo, or there was one sniper rifle I was using that uses anti-material rounds. And the thing with basic ammo is that you can get basic ammo by just like killing whatever enemies there are. And that's great because you can get tons of, but the more rare ammos, like the ones I mentioned a little bit ago, they do drop from enemies, but not as often. So it's a lot easier to buy that ammo from the various shops in the SBC Glocken, and that's fine, but I just wish you could get more of it from killing enemies like the basic ammo. Something else one has to be aware of when picking their loadout is the gear weight, which is the weight of your equipped weapons. Obviously, if your gear weight is higher than, you can hold, you're going to be slowed down immensely. Let me touch on the controls real quick. Now, I play the PC version of the game, and like with Hollow Realization, playing with keyboard and mouse is kind of hard. This is because instead of using the moving the mouse as the camera control, as it is with most shooter video games, that the camera control on keyboard and mouse is mapped to 4 specific keys, and it just doesn't work, and there's no way to change that. So I used my wired third-party Xbox One controller, and even then there's some things that need to be changed that you can, but you also can't, if that makes sense. The first thing is that the change weapon button, normally it's the right direction on the D-pad, but I changed that to the Y button. Now the most annoying thing with the controller is that crouch and dodge roll are the same button, and you can't separate it. You can change what button does both of those actions, but you can't have one button for crouch and one button for dodge roll, and it's very annoying because sometimes in combat I will dodge roll into a crouch and then get hit several times because you really can't move much when you're crouched. The game also lets you go and visit Lisbeth, who can enhance and transform weapons like she could in Hollow Realization. Every time you kill an enemy, they drop various materials of varying rarity, that can be used for enhancing and transforming weapons. The thing is that until you get much later in the game, I feel like there's no point in utilizing this feature. There are a few times I enhanced a weapon, but then the next time when I would go out questing or just go out to, shoot enemies and gain levels, I would come back and I would have weapons that were just better than the ones that I used materials and paid credits to have upgraded. Another feature is that when you're out there killing enemies, you will pick up items that will be labeled as unappraised. You take them to Aggle, pay some credits, and he will tell you what they are. You can also sell shit to him if you really want to. Now, I don't want to get into the plot details because I actually recommend playing and experiencing the game for oneself. What I will say is that the way they choose to tell the story has vastly improved. In Hollow Realization, they chose to tell the story by using a visual novel style with the cutscenes ranging from serious tone to silly tone to downright gross, creepy, sexual tone. With Fatal Bullet, it's kind of like that in the sense that the characters are in front of a static background when they talk to you, but they use the 3D character models and they use different animations without having to change a 2D character model to a different look, like they did in Hollow Realization. I've been playing and enjoying this game a lot. It is much better playing with 3 AI teammates as you'll have a much easier time, but you can solo if you really want to challenge yourself, but I wouldn't recommend it. For instance, I usually go out with Kirito, Asuna, and Sinon. Asuna has the best heals, so I would highly recommend taking her with you. Now, I've only gotten through the main story. I haven't touched any of the DLC stuff yet, but I don't think I need to do that before making this video. One very small thing that I am glad about in this game is that Kirito and your character are separate people. I say this because in Hollow Realization, you start out by making your own character that all the other characters would interact with, but then when they showed my character in the quote-unquote cutscenes, they would just show me as Kirito. And I didn't like that, because I'm like, why did you have me make my own character and then just show me as Kirito? I know you're not going to show my custom character in these visual novel style cutscenes, but, don't just show me as Kirito. But I'm just glad that in Fatal Bullet, Kirito is not my character. Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet is a good and enjoyable game. That's all I have to say, so if you're added the conversation, leave a comment below. As always, thanks for listening, and goodbye.